Hello, this is AnlineOffline, and welcome back to another Casual's Quick Guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the Pharo. Unlocked at level 36 along with Flak Jacket, the Pharo is a 4-round burst SMG from Black Ops 3 that was added to mobile in its second season behind supply drops, but became available for all a couple of seasons later behind challenges. It is similar in appearance to the MSMC, but where the latter is an Indian PDW that's sometimes mistaken for the Uzi, the former is the Uzi. Sort of. Foreign aid can only do so much for a new nation surrounded by hostile neighbors. Uziel Gal of the IDF designed the Uzi as a domestic compact open bolt SMG made from sheet metal. He was assisted by Uziel who would go on to change his name and design the Galil. It is this cheap, simple design that has allowed it to be easily exported and replicated by other countries, thus making the Uzi the most produced SMG in history. The closest runner-up would be the PPSH-41, and that's including the Sudaya variant. It's no wonder that such an iconic weapon would appear in Call of Duty, with its normal and mini variants, featuring in the multiplayers of COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, COD Online, and MDub 2019. An Italian copy by Sochimi would appear in Black Ops Cold War as the Milano. But what about Black Ops 3's Pharo then? After retiring from the IDF, Gal moved to the US. Hoping to improve upon the Uzi, he worked with Ruger to develop the Ruger MP9. Unlike the earlier Uzi, this SMG was hammer-fired close-bolt like the MP5, made more use of polymers like the UMP, and was marketed to American government agencies. However, it was such a commercial flop that Ruger would never again pursue another SMG under its brand. But enough of reality. Base damage per shot is high, killing in 3 shots up close and gradually dropping to 7 from afar. Remember, the Pharo is a 4-round burst weapon. Within said burst, your fire rate is 882 rounds per minute, with a burst delay of 150 milliseconds. Assuming that you can land the one burst up close, it is one of the fastest killing weapons in this game, and you could 2-burst across the map, but there are some caveats. 10% extra headshot damage isn't very useful. 10% less damage to the legs can hurt your chances to 1-burst, but this isn't an issue beyond its 4th range. In terms of mobility, the Pharo is tied with the Cordite, Chicom, Fennec, and MSMC for the fastest base SMG movement. If built for max movement, it is tied with the MX9 for the 3rd fastest strafe speed in the game. Base magazine size is 28 rounds or 7 bursts per mag. It can be extended to 36 and 44 rounds or 9 and 11 bursts. The full reload animation with an empty mag is rather slow, but as long as you reload cancel, you'll be fine. As for bloom, the Pharo is one of the most accurate guns. Its hipfire on the other hand is worse than average for SMGs. The iron sights are very solid. However, the Pharo is one of 2 weapons that have randomized recoil. And unlike the AK-117, which you can get a feel for or tap fire with, the Pharo's randomness is much more noticeable because it resets with each burst delay. Unique to the Pharo is the Underbarrel Stun Gun. It appears to be a one-shot kill anywhere in the body, but I'm not sure how much damage it does exactly. The stun gun replaces your quick melee button and is only available during such. Compared to that, it has a range of 8 meters. It seems to be hit scan, but you still can miss with it. It has a cooldown of 3 seconds, which is quite nice. No other attachments can boost its recharge or its range, and you can't use it while reloading, but you can use it while empty on ammo. An interesting tidbit is that in the beta before its release, it was actually a full auto reskin of the MSMC. When it was released, it was a burst weapon like it was in Black Ops 3, whereas Black Ops 3 had a lot of legacy weapons that were locked behind supply drops. A lot of Black Ops 3 weapons were locked behind supply drops in this game, almost like a form of karma, which the community didn't seem to mind at first, until the HBRA3. The devs responded and released a free version of both the Pharo and Locust behind seasonal challenges, along with the new Cordite and Outlaw. The Pharo, when made free, was busted because it used the 3 shots to the legs. It was then nerfed harshly the following season. The recoil change wasn't much. but the leg multipliers must have been lowered to 70% of base because it made one bursting to them impossible. With the advent of Gunsmith, the Pharo and 117 were not given consistent recoil patterns like all other weapons. And to add insult to injury, the Pharo was hit the hardest by the inclusion of blue, and its inaccuracy would only be surpassed by the MAC-10 2 years later. But to compensate, the leg multipliers were most likely scaled to what it is today. Early 2021 saw a buff to all SMG mobility, and the Pharo's bloom was buffed to be barely average. It did see a resurgence in popularity during the MX9 meta, as it was its antithesis. After the MX9 was nerfed, the Pharo was forgotten about again, until 2022, in which it got a massive bloom buff. And later that year, it unofficially got the stun gun as its signature attachment, which was then replaced by the Merc Foregrip, an attachment that improved sprint out time on a weapon that already had good sprint out. The following season, it traded some of its initial range for better recoil control, and then it finally got the stun gun again. So where does it stand now? It's an okay weapon assuming that you don't suffer from desync. High risk, high reward. Compared to its fellow burst SMGs, I do like the Chicom more because of its steadier recoil for mid-range and ammo capacity, but I would prefer the Pharo up close. With the KSP, it's 50-50, both are limited to close range for separate reasons. As for changes, considering that the AK-117 has lighter but still slightly random recoil now, I think the Pharo needs a similar buff. The stun gun is awkward to use for most. I recommend having your quick melee button next to your jump or slide button, but I believe that Underbarrel should have their own button to swap between them and the base weapon. Since the Ruger MP9 was supposed to be a better Uzi, and the Pharo's beta version was full auto, how about a wildfire automatic mode? If we take the M16 as a template, the fire rate would be similar to its later relatives and real-life counterparts. However, it would have to come at the cost of reduced body multipliers, and like the nerfed M16, it would also have worse flinch and its new amplified automatic recoil, combined with its randomness. Sounds like a nightmare to handle. But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's quick guide. Feel free to suggest what weapons you want to see covered next. My name is On, and I'm off.